What's up you guys, thank you for joining me again. Now in this video we are going to jump directly into chapter 5 probability distribution. So without further ado, let us get started. So for this chapter, probability distribution, it basically covers probability, okay? But now you're going to learn something more advanced. The first thing you're going to learn, there are two main things, okay? For Form 5 probability distribution, you'll learn two main things. First is binomial, okay, which we'll cover in a while. And the second one is either normal or standard normal. These are two different things, but I'll cover more about this in the part 2 video. For now, we'll focus on binomial. So these are two different ways for you to find probability. But what's the difference between them? Binomial is more of discrete data. Okay, so for example, let's say you want to find the probability of 5 students in your class getting A for maths, let's say. Okay, what's the probability for 5 people in your class to get A for maths? So this is a discrete number, correct? You cannot have 5.2 students. You cannot have 5.9 students. You can either have 5 or 6 or 7 or any discrete number. So whenever you're measuring a discrete number, okay, you want to find the probability for a discrete number of whether it's people or things, you have to use binomial. Okay, but if let's say you are finding something that is continuous, okay, then you have to use normal or standard normal. Okay, but don't worry, we'll cover more about this normal and standard normal later. For now, we'll focus on binomial. So like I said, binomial is for discrete numbers. Okay, so the first thing you have to know for binomial is how you want to express binomial. We usually express binomial this way. We always write x, then the curly line, b, and then n and p. Okay, this is how we express binomial. Okay, b here stands for binomial. N here, what is the n? N is the number of trial. It means like the number of for example, let's say you want to do a survey. Okay, you want to find a probability of something, so you want to do a survey. So out of the survey, let's say 10 people are chosen to be part of this survey. So the number of trial is the 10 people. Okay, so number of trial basically how many times you are sort of like attempting this, or how many people are involved. So all these are number of trial. Okay, P is the probability of success. Probability of success means, for example, let's say you want to find out how many people in your class gets A for maths. Okay, let's say based on probability 70% gets A, let's say. Okay, so the probability of success is 0.7 because 70% means 0.7, right? So 0.7 represents the probability of success. That means whatever you're looking for, let's say you want to find how many people get A, and if the probability is 0.7, that means your probability of success is 0.7. Okay, never mind, if you don't understand what I'm saying right now, don't worry. We'll go through the examples later and I guarantee you will understand everything. Okay, right, now this is just how you express binomial. Okay, but you also have to know the formula to calculate the probability. So what is the formula? The formula for binomial is like this: px. Okay, first of all, p means probability. Okay, it's like how we used to write. Yeah, in the past you learned probability, we always write p's bracket something, right? That means you want to find the probability of some whatever is inside here lah, in the bracket. So now we are finding for px equals to r. Okay, and the formula is going to be ncr bracket p power r and then q power n minus r. Okay, see, again, it's going to be confusing for now, but don't worry, when we go through the examples you'll understand. So let me just explain what this formula is about. So like I said, n is the number of trial you're going to get from here. Okay, it's based on the expression. P is the probability of success. Then what about Q? Q is basically the probability of failure. So if I tell you probability of success is 0.7, what is the probability of failure? Probability failure is 0.3. Because we know maximum number for probability is 1, right? So if this is the total probability, you just have to minus the probability of success, you get the probability of failure. So 1 minus 0.7, you get 0.3. So P and Q is like opposite. Okay, P is the probability of success, Q is the probability of failure. So whatever it is, you just, if you want to find Q, you take 1 minus P. Okay, in other words, that's how you find Q. Okay, so now you know what is P, what is Q, and what is N. So now, what is R? R, usually R is based on the question. Okay, the question will give you what you're looking for, then that will be your R. Okay, I'll explain more about this later. So this R, you're going to write back on top here as the power for P, and to find this, you just take N minus R. That's when you get the power for Q. Okay, so never mind, we'll do some examples and then you'll understand. Now let's look at the first example. 6 out of 10 pupils randomly selected had attended a leadership camp. If 5 people are selected randomly from that group of pupils and X represent the number of people who had participated in the leadership camp, draw a graph to represent the probability distribution of X. So X is the number of people who had participated in the leadership camp. So okay, first of all, what is all this? 6 out of 10 and 5 people. What does this represent? So just remember this. I told you how to represent binomial distribution, right? The expression is X, B, N, and P. Okay, N is the number of trial. That means if let's say you're doing a survey, how many people are involved? Okay, so that's the number of trial. P is the probability of success. That means in this case, you're looking for, here you say X represents the number of people who participated in the leadership camp. So that means P, the probability of success, must be the probability of people who had participated in the leadership camp. So which you can find from here. They told you 6 out of 10 pupils had attended a leadership camp. So that means what? They participated, right? So in other words, the probability here is 6 out of 10, or you can say 0.6. Okay, now by the way, if you all can hear any background noise, just bear with me, okay, because it's raining quite heavily here. Okay, anyway, so probability is 6 over 10, which is 0.6. Now what is N? N is the number of trial, right? So number of trial means how many, like for example, how many people are involved, or how many times you're doing this, and so on. So in this case, they are saying 5 people are selected randomly. So the number of trial would be the 5 people. So here is going to be 5. So now they ask you to draw a graph to represent the probability distribution of X. Okay, I want you to ignore this first. Ignore what they are saying here. Ignore. Usually questions okay, not to say they won't ask you to draw a graph, but for you to understand, for now, I want you to understand this. Usually question will ask, find the probability of 3 people attended the leadership camp. 3 people. Probability of 3 people. So in this case, you got 5 people who are involved in the number of trial, right? But out of the 5, only 3 people attended. So in this case, you are finding for X equals to 3. Just now remember I gave you the formula. X equals to R, and then you got NCR, P, R, and Q, N minus R. Remember I gave you this. So the formula here, the P you already found, which is this, correct? N you have already found. So all you need now is R, right? So these are the three main things you need. So what is R? R is whatever the question is asking for. So in this case, P equals to 3, because this P equals 3 is the example I'm giving you. It's not what the question is asking. So the P equals 3 represents the number of people out of the 5 people here. How many people actually attended? So if let's say 3, the probability of 3, that means your R value here equals to 3. Okay, but in this case, the question is not asking for 3. What they're asking you to draw the graph, correct? So what does drawing the graph mean? Drawing the graph here means that you want to consider all possibilities. All possibilities. So that means out of the 5 people that are part of this trial, right? Out of these 5 people, maybe only 1 person attended, or maybe 2 person attended, or maybe 3 or 4 or 5. Can I have 6? No, right? Because there's only 5 people, so you cannot have 6 people, right? So maximum is only 5, or none of them attended. Okay, so that means out of these 5 people, none of them attended. So that means there are 6 possibilities here. Out of these 5 people that were selected from the group, maybe none of them attended. That means 0. Or maybe 1 of them attended. Or maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. So we don't know how many out of the 5 people actually attended. So we have to consider all possibilities. So that means the R value are all of this. So you have to do one by one. So that means you must find the probability that no one attend. That means X equals 0. Or you must also find the probability that 1 person attend. You must find the probability of 2 person, and so on. You must find all. Why you have to find all? Wait, you must find all. So why you have to find all? Because they're asking you to draw a graph to represent the probability distribution, right? So that means you have to consider all the possibilities, because they never say which one you're looking for. They ask you to draw the graph. So in the graph will have everything. So you must consider all the possibilities. Okay. So let me erase this first. So now to calculate this, you're just going to use the formula that I gave, which is, let me just write here, Px equals to R. So NCR PR Q N minus R. Okay, this is the formula. Okay, if you can, try not to memorize this, because it's actually quite straightforward. Let me show you. So N is here 5. So 5. C, how many? 0. So 5, choose 0. And then P is what? 0.6. So just copy back this, which is 0. And then Q is what? Opposite of P, right? So if P is 0.6, Q would be 0.4. So here is 0.4. And then what's the R value? The R value is, you take 5 minus 0. So 5 minus 0 is 5. Next, X equals to 1. Wait, we will count the answers later, okay? So we're just going to write all first. So 5, choose 1. And then 0.6 power 1. And then 0.4 power 5 minus 1 would be 4. Okay, 5 minus 1 is 4. And then 5, now you got X equals 2, right? So 5, choose 2. 0.6 power 2. And then 0.4 power 5 minus 2 is 3. Okay, I want you to get used to the formula. That's why I gave this as your first question to practice. I want you all to get used to the formula first before we solve the actual binomial questions. Of course, this is also one type of question. They ask you to draw a graph. So in this case, next one, X equals to 3, right? So 5, choose 3. Then 0.6 power 3, 0.4 power 2. And then you find your answer. Next, 5, choose 4. 0.6 power 4, 0.4 power 1. Lastly, 5, choose 5. 0.6 power 5, 0.4 power. So now 5 minus 5, you get 0. Okay, so now we have to find for all the possible answers. So I've already counted for you guys. So the first one is 0.01024. The second one is, you can straight away key in your calculator, okay, and you'll get your answer. So second one is 0.0768. Third is 0.2304. Then 0.3456. Next is 0.2592. And then 0.0777. Okay, so now with all this, now you can plot your graph. Okay, so I don't have a graph here, but you guys can use your actual graph paper. Okay, but for now I'm just going to sketch here, but you guys use the actual graph paper. So how do you sketch? So what is going to be at the x-axis and what is going to be on the y-axis? So the r value, all of this here, this is all your r value, right? The r value is going to be on your x-axis. So here you're going to write here r, and then the outcome, which is the whole thing here, the PA, the probability is all going to be here. So Px equals to r. Okay, so r can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, these are the only outcomes for r value, okay, which is what we have here. Now we need to find the probability. So the probability now here is, based on all this that you have counted, you got 0.01, 0.07. so we're going to just put a rough estimate. Okay, it doesn't have to be accurate, it just has to be roughly the correct point. So it's going to be, I'm going to use the axis 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. okay, these are the probability. So the first one here, 0.01. so when x equals to 0, probability is 0.01. so 0.01 should be somewhere here. Okay, this is 0.01. means it should be lower lah, but somewhere here lah. Okay, 0.01. The second point is 0.07, so it's slightly higher. All these are just my rough estimate. When you draw on your graph, you can use the actual calculation. So 0.07 may be somewhere here. Next, 0.23. 0.23 could be somewhere here. 0.34. 0.25 or 26, I can say. Somewhere here. 0.07. So should be somewhere here. Okay, so once you've plotted all the points, now I know some people will do this. Please don't do this. Okay, this is a probability graph. So you just have to draw the line down. Draw it down straight to the R value, to the respective R value. This is your graph. Okay, make sure you take note. The graph of probability distribution is all straight line. That means you're telling when R equals to 0, the probability is 0.01. When R equals to 1, the probability is 0.07 and so on. Okay, so this is how you draw a probability distribution graph. So that's what they meant here. Draw a graph to represent the probability distribution. So you are listing out all the possibilities. R can be equal to 0, can be equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Cannot be more, cannot be less. Okay, so you are plotting all the possibilities. Right, let's see next. It is found that 59% of candidates who sat for the entrance examination to enter a boarding school pass all the subjects. So they pass, these are the 59% passed all the subjects. So the pass all the subjects means the probability of success, because you're looking for that, right? Pass all the subject. So like I said, binomial, what do you need? You need n, you need p, and you also need the r value, right? So in this case, the probability you know is 59%. So that means p is equals to 0.59. Okay, that's the probability of students who pass all the subjects. Now, it is given that 4 pupils are randomly selected. So the number of people who are involved in the trial is 4. So this one is the n value. N equals to 4. X represents the number of people who pass all the subject. Construct a probability distribution table for X. Now they want table. Okay, just now they wanted graph. Here also got graph, but I'm going to show you both. Okay, this one is actually pretty similar. The only difference is now you have a table. So let's do this together. So X, first you have your X value. Okay, the X value is actually, it's not X value, it's the R value. Okay, so that's the first part, and then the second part you will have to find the probability. Okay, so this is your table. So X can be equals to what? See, your number of trial is 4, right? So maybe out of the 4 people, none of them actually pass all subjects, or maybe 1 pass all subject, or maybe 2 or 3 or 4. Can I have 5? No, because why? You only have 4 people in this trial, right? Only 4 people are randomly selected from these candidates. Okay, so it's impossible for you to have more than 4 because only 4 people are involved, right? So these are all your outcomes. It can be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have to find the probability for all of these possibilities here. Okay, so now you can straight away use the formula. So the formula was what? Px equals to r. So r can be all this. R can be, you're going to find all the possibility. This one, x equals to 1, px equals to 2, and so on, all the way to px equals to 4. Okay, you must find all the possibilities, and you can use the formula which I gave you guys. The formula is, let me repeat, x equals to r, which is NCR p power r and q power n minus r. So you straight away key in. I'm not going to write all this. If you need to remember, if you forgot, please refer to the first question just now, the formula, and you can straight away get your answer. So your answer should be, the first one is 0.0283, 0.1627, 0.3511, 0.3368, and 0.1212. Okay, I just straight away do this so that we can go a bit faster. Okay, once you're done this, then you can draw your graph. So x-axis represents the r value, and the y-axis will represent the probability of the r values. So let's say we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then you see here you got 0.02, 0.1, so you can use the same as just now. 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. Okay, I'm going to use the same scale as just now. So now, first one, 0.028, so maybe 0.03 lah, so it should be somewhere here. Okay, so when r is equals to 1, the probability is 0.16, so 0.16 should be somewhere here. Okay, halfway point. Next, when r equals to 2, probability is 0.35, 0.35, somewhere here, and then 0.34, which is quite close, slightly lower. Yeah, go down a bit, and then when r equals to 4, you get 0.12. 12 is somewhere up, somewhere here, right? So okay, so now you just have to draw the line back down to the R value, the respective R value. Okay, so this is how you draw your probability distribution graph. Clear? Right, next. In 2019, the estimated population of Malaysia was 32.6 million people. In one of the survey, it was found that 57% of Malaysians use smartphone. So 57%, you see, whenever you see this, you can kind of know it's either P value or Q value, right? But most likely it's P value. So now let's see. A sample of 8 people was selected at random. Probability of 8 people are selected at random. So that means your number of trial is 8. Correct? And the probability is what? They want, see the question, find the probability that 6 of them use smartphone. So this is the probability of success, right? So that means 57% use smartphone, right? So that means, you know, P is 0.57. 57% means 0.57. Okay, so question A, you're finding the probability that 6 of them, so your R value is 6. R value is 6. So you can just write the formula. Out of the 8 people, 6 of them use smartphone, and then you times the P value is 0.57 power 6. If P is 0.57, what is the Q value? Q value is 1 minus 0.57, right? So would be 0.43. So here's 0.43 power 8 minus 6, which is 2. Okay, for those who don't remember the formula, this is the formula. Let me write for you. NCR P power R Q power N minus R. Okay, later on I won't be writing, so please take note of the formula. So you just put this in and you can straight away find your answer. So the probability that 6 of them use smartphone would be 0.1776. okay, so this is your probability. Just straight away key in your calculator, you will get the answer. Question B, find the probability that not more than 2 use smartphone. So not more than 2 means what? That means is probability of X, that is, if it's not more than 2, that means it's either less than or equal to 2, right? Just think about it. If it's not more than 2, that means it's either less than 2 or exactly 2. So it's less than or equal to 2. Okay, so what does this mean? You see, you have number of trial is 8, right? That means 8 people, but they're saying that they want you to find the probability of 2 or less. So if 2 of less means, that means you want to find the probability of when X equals to 0, you want to find the probability when X equals to 1, and you also want to find the probability of X equals to 2. Clear? So all of this you have to find. So if X equals to 0, what's the formula? 8 choose 0, then the P value is 0.57 power 0, then 0.43 power 8. Okay, 8 minus 0 is 8. So this is the first part. Second part is when X is equals to 1. So 8 choose 1, 0.57 power 1, 0.43 power 7. Lastly, 8 choose 2, 0.57 power 2, 0.43 power 6. Okay, so you key this in straight away, you get 0.0012 plus 0.0124 plus 0.0575. So your final answer is 0.0711. Okay, when it comes to probability distribution, right, this chapter, right, I try to keep it as much as 4 decimal place, because sometimes you have many decimal place. So I try to keep it to 4 decimal place so that I don't round up too quickly and I get closer to the actual answer. And yeah, I think it is more accurate if you have more decimal place. So I try to keep it at 4 decimal place. Okay, right, next. In a survey, it is found that 95% of undergraduates at a university own laptops. A sample consisting of 8 undergraduates is selected at random from the university. So they select 8 people to do this survey. Okay, so 8 people would be the number of trial. And then they said 95% owns laptop. So that means P is 95% lah. Because you see all the question asking you to find probability that 6 of them have own laptop. So that means P would be the probability of success. So 0.95. So what is the Q? The probability of failure would be 0.05. Okay, so question A. Find a probability that exactly 6 of them have laptops. So P X equals to 6, because exactly 6, right? So 6 of them have laptops. So straight away use the formula. 8 choose 6, 0.95 power 6, and 0.05 power 2. You see, once you find the n value, the p value, q value, as well as the r value, you can solve already. Right? These are the 4 things you need. Question B. Oh wait, we haven't solved yet. So when you plot this, you straight away key in your calculator, you should get 0.0515. Okay, this is your answer. Alright, let's look at question B. So find the probability that at most 2 or more than 7 of them own laptop. So what is this? That means you're finding for probability of at most 2. That means maximum 2, right? At most means maximum. So that means it must be 2 or less, correct? Because the maximum is 2. So you're finding for the probability of 2 or less. Less than equal to 2. Okay, that's the first part here. Or it says more than 7. So that means the second probability is x is more than 7. So if you write it in the form of discrete value, right, like this, what are they trying to tell you? That means you're finding for when x equals to 0, x equals to 1, and when x is equals to 2. Okay, and here it says more than 7, so the only possibility is x equals to 8, because the number of trial is 8, right? So it cannot be 7, it has to be more than 7. So the only number bigger than 7 would be when x is equal to 8. So these are all the probabilities you have to look for. So you just key in straight into your calculator, you get 8 choose 0, 0.95 power 0 times 0.05 power 8. Okay, the second one, when x equals to 1, you get 8 choose 1, 0.95 power 1, 0.05 power 7. When x is equals to 2, you get 8 choose 2, 0.95 power 2, 0.05 power 6. Lastly, 8 choose 8 times 0.95 power 8 times 0.05 power 0. Okay, so when you straight away put in your calculator, you will notice one thing. These 3 values here, when you key in your calculator, the answer is actually very, very minute. It's very, very small. So because it's very small, you can basically just write 0, because it's negligible. The value is too small. So I'm just going to write 0 plus 0 plus 0. And then the last one here, you will have value. You will get 0.6634. So your final answer is 0.6634. This is the probability that when x is at most 2 and also more than 7. Okay, so this is your answer.